Topping our lineup this Friday here on The Now, you think of Best Buy, Used By, Best If Used By, all of those labels we can see on our food, and they can be really confusing. Now the government's trying to clear things up. And e-scooters and bikes, they're up for rent in a lot of places these days. But let's face it, they're bound to have some germs. But are those germs harmful? We are putting the bacteria to the test. This story may be hard to believe. A woman had her healthy dog put down so they could be buried together. It's legal to do that, but we're going to check into other options for taking care of pets when someone passes away.
On the Now Indy, there are many options to get to the track on Sunday. If you do drive, there are some options you might not know about. RTV6's Alyssa Donovan has that story.
Driving to the track on race day can be a challenge, and IMS is completely sold out of parking spots. But keep in mind, homeowners and businesses nearby the track are looking to make a quick buck and make sure you get to the race. Another year, another lengthy wait to get into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Cut it the other way. Cut it hard. Keep it cut. Go back. Keep it cut. Keep it cut. Keep it cut. Go on back.
But for a price,
that's good.
Drivers can pull in right here to one of the best spots in town.
Got such a great location, and the people that are in the south end of the track here between turn 1 and 2 park here because it's a short walk to their seats.
Along 16th Street, business owners are leasing out their lots to race fans.
We're just parking cars today.
This is the second year Efren McGarren is charging drivers to park in his lot.
How much, man? It's 40. It's good money. And it's fun looking at all these cars and all these people.
McGarren, a rookie compared to Jim Lewbert.
They've owned this property 35 years.
Along with parking spots, Lewbert sells souvenirs. Bobbleheads, postcards, and T-shirts.
And I sell an awful lot of memorabilia from the old days.
The days when he worked in racing himself.
Well, I was a mechanic across the street for years. I was in 22 500s.
He's long since retired from that, and soon...
Hey, stranger, how you been?
Good, pal.
He'll retire from this, too.
$30.
So his little souvenir store, with the best parking in town, is for sale.
We want to retire. We're getting older. We have grandchildren we want to hang out with. It was fun.
And if the next owner plays it right, they might be just as lucky as Lewbert. He made enough money off this spot to put his kids through college. And he made some good friends along the way.
We've known each other for 40 years.
Or longer.
I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
That is a speedway tradition. Another tradition this time of year, the respect and remembrance in Indianapolis for veterans this Memorial Day weekend. The annual 500 Festival Memorial Service was held at the Indiana War Memorial today. Among those honored, 95-year-old Herschel Woody Williams. He is the sole surviving Marine from World War II to earn the Medal of Honor. He received it from President Harry Truman. Today's ceremony also included a wreath-laying and a horse-drawn caisson.
It is a warm one across central Indiana. Toasty out there. We've got the clouds. They've been trying to bubble up, but so far have not seen any showers or downpours. We could almost use a couple just to cool us off. We don't need the rain from them, though. And it's even hotter out there at the Motor Speedway, where you've got all that blacktop asphalt out there with temperatures that are in the middle 80s in downtown. It's 88 for you right now in Greenwood and Bloomington. And yes, we've got some heat index values right around 90 degrees. There is a quiet Storm Team 6 radar for us. Not expecting to see much as far as any rainfall out there this evening. And you can see that we're pretty much where we should be. And it's been a soggy couple of days here, so we don't need any more. You can leave that umbrella at home this evening. Temperatures, yeah, they're going to be staying warm for us, still in the mid-70s through 11.
Let's start the news feed. A new proposal by the Trump administration would roll back sex discrimination protection for transgender people when it comes to getting medical help. The rule claims that laws banning sex discrimination in healthcare don't apply to people's gender identity. Legal challenges to that proposal are expected. 1,500 troops will head to the Middle East. The White House telling Congress its plans today. Earlier this week, the Pentagon outlined plans to send up to 10,000 troops to the region as tensions continue to rise with Iran. One vote has stopped a $19 billion disaster aid bill from passing. Texas Rep. Chip Roy, the only no vote in the House today. The chamber attempted to cast a consent vote. Many lawmakers are not in D.C. right now. The House will have to wait 10 days to cast another vote. Well, from record heat for Memorial Day weekend in the southeast to rare end of May snow this week in Denver. We've been seeing some strange weather recently, and Corey Rangel shows us it's starting to impact businesses too.
Tornadoes.
That's a gigantic tornado.
Late season snow. Record flooding. It's been a wild week of weather. The National Weather Service spent today investigating whether a tornado hit the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Forecasters are warning to get ready for more. Record-breaking heat, severe storms, and flash flooding are expected in the coming days. Bad news for those in the path, including businesses. From retail to restaurants, more companies are blaming the weather for disappointing sales.
Weather is playing an ever-increasing role in terms of how customers buy and behave.
Evan Gold works for Planalytics, a group that monitors the business impact of weather. While severe weather is nothing new, some meteorologists say storms are getting stronger and often threaten multiple states at a time, putting millions of people at risk.
Weather oftentimes is not only in the news, it is the news, right? And volatility is that new normal. So these extreme type of conditions we see are consistent and constant.
A new normal, forcing companies to figure out a way to weather any losses. I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
All right, Corey, thank you. Let's get back to our lineup. And all the different food labels at the store can be confusing. They could make you throw stuff out when it's still good. We're going to show you the label the government's now pushing to clear things up. You're watching The Now.
Xfinity, the future of awesome.
Welcome back. It has been a warm one out here at Pagoda Plaza. Finally, we're getting some breeze, but with the heat we had today, when you mix that heat with the alcohol that's flowing around, it's an easy trip to the first aid station.
That's right, and we checked in with paramedics today here at IMS, and they say they've seen roughly 10 to 30 people 10 people every 30 minutes since the noon hour complaining of dehydration. Medics say if you're drinking at the track, you should also be drinking plenty of water and Gatorade. The track has also set up cooling stations with mist spraying from fans for visitors who feel overheated, and those cooling stations have come in handy.
And what is the biggest mistake people are making to end up in this situation?
Drinking a lot without having water involved with it. So you have to replenish your electrolytes, and just drinking water doesn't do that. So you really need to have Gatorade or Powerade to replenish the stuff that you're taking out with drinking alcohol.
It's actually been super nice. They have a lot of these things out here for us to keep drinking water in mind.
The misting fans are amazing. I feel much better. I feel cooler, ready to go, and just take on the day.
The first aid stations put people into air conditioning, and they also give fluids to replace those that liquid that you lost drinking and walking around.
Yeah, so just make sure you're carrying around one of these guys. We're doing it, and it'd be the smart thing for everybody, but it's definitely a great day so far at Pagoda Plaza.
That's right.
All right, over to you, Chris.
Changes on expiration date labels may help us waste less food. The FDA says it supports creating standards for date labeling. Now, the labels that we see today, they're really more about quality, not safety, which that can be confusing. According to the USDA, 20% of wasted food is due to the fact that we're just misunderstanding these labels. Right now, the phrases that we usually see on labels say best by or sell by. But researchers are finding people are more likely to understand better if it says best if used by. Now, that's the label the FDA now says the food industry should have as a standard. USDA says no two foods will ever have the same true expiration. This is really more of a case of just trusting your instincts and looking at color and smell. But if you're still not sure, the USDA developed an app to help you decide if something should be thrown into the trash. It's called Food Keeper. The app won't just ask what the food is, but where it's been stored, for how long it's been stored, and at what temperature. Now, some food may last longer than what the label indicates. As for the possible change to labels, it is still unknown when and if that will happen. All right, let's turn to the news feed, and many put the blame, much of the blame for the opioid crisis on Purdue Pharma. The company makes OxyContin, very addictive. Now JP Morgan Chase is cutting ties with that company. The bank says Purdue needs to find a new bank to manage cash and bill payments. One school you will not see on the annual list of best colleges is the University of Oklahoma. U.S. News & World Report says that the school gave inflated data about alumni giving rates for 2 decades. U.S. News says that OU told them the giving rate was 14% when it was really 9.7%. T-Mobile has a new offer to get more people to try and join. The wireless carrier says it will match the discounts that customers get at their competitors. Now, this new plan is called Magenta. The company hopes these discounts will be enough to pull people from AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint. Let's get back to our lineup here, and you see a lot of scooters, public bikes. That just continues to spread across the country. But here's a question. Just how dirty are those handlebars? We're going to be putting the bacteria to the test to see if you should be concerned.
Honda.
The only name you need to know.
Now, for many, Memorial Day weekend really is the kickoff to summer. Spending more time with family might include firing up the grill. Now, if you run into some confidence issues with making sure that you're cooking things right, don't worry, because the pros are just a phone call away. Longhorn Steakhouse is opening its Grill U.S. hotline this year. Here's the number right here on your screen, 1-855-LH-GRILL. Now, we talked to one of their grill masters to get some advice on just how to make sure things go well over the fire.
A lot of people have questions about what steak to use. My personal favorite is a ribeye. You've got all of that marbling that tends to really enhance the flavors once it's on the grill.
Now, she said filet is the easiest steak to grill because it creates less flaming. And she also said go heavy on the seasoning because when you start flipping, you are going to lose some. And to keep your food juicy, marinate as long as possible. Now, let's talk a little food safety and just how long you should be grilling certain things. Well, the experts say you want to think about temperature, not as much about time. Beef can be anywhere between 130 and 170 degrees, depending on how you like it cooked. Now, for chicken, it's 165 and really no room for play on that one. A good idea is just to get a digital thermometer to help you out. Also, clean pans so you don't cross-contaminate raw food with cooked. And another good tip they have a spray bottle of canola oil nearby to keep the meat from sticking to the grill. And again, you can call Grill Masters on Monday with questions that might pop up for you. Longhorn also has videos covering other grilling questions on its website. Now, Memorial Day, of course, is about honoring those who died serving our country. Now, veterans this weekend will also receive some recognition because theme parks, museums, other attractions nationwide, they are offering free or reduced admission to military and in some cases extended family. Some restaurants and other businesses are also offering discounts and free food to military members like Outback, Applebee's, and Hooters.
Chris, thank you so much. The race to curb the spike in measles cases brought health officials to the Motor Speedway today. IU Health offered measles vaccines to fans during Carb Day. The vaccines were available at the IU Health Infield Care Center while supplies lasted. Officials say there's minimal or no risk of getting the measles for most people visiting the track this weekend, unless they belong to a high-risk category.
High-risk category would be if you've never been vaccinated, if you've been to recent travel to a foreign country, if you have a family member, a close family member who has an active case of the measles, or if you're like a college student and you're in a dorm or a fraternity house where a measles outbreak has occurred.
And keep this in mind, the Indiana State Department of Health recently issued a standing order allowing pharmacists to vaccinate people. This means you no longer have to see a healthcare provider to get a vaccine for measles, mumps, or rubella. Now, time for your Now Indy forecast with Kyle.
And Raphael, things are quiet across central Indiana, and that's the way we like it heading into the race and holiday weekend. But things are going to change a little bit. As we look at your Saturday planning forecast, a warm start in the lower 70s at 8 a.m. We head into the afternoon. We're in the 80s, and we've got that chance for a few scattered showers and storms. Notice that starts to slide in from the northwest as we go through the mid-afternoon, and then by evening hours, it's sliding to the southeast. Race day, yeah, we got the chance for a few scattered showers and storms. We're going to have to watch radar closely for you there. That should keep us just a little bit cooler with temperatures in the 70s to around 80 for that afternoon high. Over the next few days, Memorial Day, the rain chances dropping again, only about 30%. So a lot of dry time in there. 84 degrees, should be dry and toasty on Tuesday with a high of 86. Chris?
Topping our newsfeed here on The Now, the FAA is figuring out when the 737 MAX will take to the skies again. Now, Southwest Airlines says it won't charge anyone who wants to change their flight to avoid flying on the plane when it's in service. Now, the plane's been grounded since March after 2 deadly crashes. Changes could be coming to regulations for retirement savings accounts. The U.S. House passing a bill that makes it easier for companies to provide retirement plans to employees. And it would also require long-term, part-time workers to be eligible for retirement benefits. With around 900 new measles cases in the U.S. this year, there are some big concerns as we head into summer and millions of kids go off to summer camp. New York has the most cases, and the state's health department sent letters to more than 2,500 camps urging them to make sure campers are vaccinated. Well, more people are getting around these days on those dockless scooters and public bikes, so you may be wondering just how many germs are lurking on the handlebars. Annie Taylor tested the bacteria and says the results might surprise you.
You've probably seen these public bikes, public scooters. They are everywhere, and they're getting even more popular because not only are they fun, they're convenient. Have you ever ridden a scooter before?
Yes.
With a growing number of people using them, we wondered, how germy are they?
I'm sure they're very dirty.
Probably pretty dirty.
Ooh, that's a great question.
We hit the streets of Denver to see what could be lurking on the handles of scooters and public bikes. We swabbed and swabbed and swabbed some more.
What did you find on the handlebars?
We took the swabs to the lab. We tested for staph, E. coli, general bacteria levels, and yeast and mold. The results? Surprising.
Well, my initial reaction was the surprise.
Dr. Helene Verek, a microbiologist at Metro State University, knows all about bacteria.
Some were a lot cleaner and some were a lot dirtier.
Here are results. We tested scooters at 2 locations. These scooters only had 700 bacteria colonies on them. No E. coli or staph, but they did have lower levels of mold and yeast present. To put that into perspective, your hand has on average about 3,200 bacteria colonies on it. Now, this group of scooters. They had the highest level of bacteria from all our testing, 12,000 colonies, but nothing harmful was present.
People are gripping them with their hands and potentially sweating on them, and just, it's the humans that are dirty.
What about the public bikes? Well, these ones from the city had 3,500 bacteria colonies, but they were the worst offenders for the yeast and mold. They had 900. The bikes here tested for 5,500 bacteria colonies, and in the middle for yeast and mold.
Like, you have normal yeasts and molds on our hands. We ingest yeasts and mold. That's what makes us bread and beer and all kinds of things. So not all fungus are bad.
Helene says because there isn't much food on the handlebars, meaning moisture for them to feed on, the bacteria is probably going away pretty quickly.
So the variation that was seen may be indicative of how long a time period it was since the last person wrote it.
These tests can make things seem gross, but experts say bacteria is everywhere, and it's not all bad. You can clean it off, but Helene says
you can't actually make it sterile, so that's kind of a futile goal.
So in the end, we didn't find anything that will hurt you.
Great.
I'm not surprised. Well, maybe I am.
Yeah.
But just use common sense to keep your hands clean. I'm Annie Taylor reporting.
Good information there, Annie. Thank you. And a lot of people are likely heading to the beaches and the lakes this weekend and over the summer. And one thing that you should do for safety purposes, do your research ahead of time and swim near a lifeguard. The American Lifeguard Association is sending that message today, but unfortunately not every place is a lifeguard and many only work peak hours. Now, more of these life ring stations are going up in places like South Florida. Rotary clubs and local businesses are sponsoring them. The national spokesperson for the American Lifeguard Association helped get the campaign Ground Zero up and running, and he talked about how a station came to the rescue.
Young ladies were at the beach visiting. They were college kids. They were from Cocoa Beach, and they saw a kid get into trouble. They saw the parent go into the water. One of the girls went into the water. The other girl got the ring off of Ground Zero station. They went out and they assisted them back to the beach, and everything was fine. They had them out of the water and to safety before the first responders ever got here.
Now, a Florida station interviewed one of the women who helped pull off the rescue last month.
Someone else had gone to the person who was drowning before I did and managed to get him his boogie board back. And eventually Adriana got to us in the water with the orange buoy, and with both those things we were able to help him out, bring him in, and he was okay.
Now, at least 2 people in distress in the Atlantic have been saved using Ground Zero flotation devices since last month. And finally in our lineup today, a hard-to-believe story with this one because a woman had her healthy dog put down so they could be buried together. And it's legal to do that, but we're looking into some of the other options for taking care of your pet if you pass away.